Hello, Mark Redler's here for Dreamcatcher Podcast. Thanks for joining me today. I'm recording this on a Friday morning. It's gonna be a beautiful day. I've got my shades on because the future looks so bright, and I'll try not to turn to my ring light. Gross you guys out. So anyway, it's a day to have fun, and that's kind of the subject and title for today's. Where's all the positivity going? Especially where I'm at here in the United States. I'm not for sure the rest of the world, but I know in the United States. Um, the positivity is kind of looked down on. Everybody seems to be kind of living in a negative world, and I'm here to tell you, and I have been there too, that that there's always something to be grateful for, and I know I've talked about that in past podcasts, but and gratitude and grateful, being grateful makes a big difference on how your life is and if it captures your dreams. But my wife and I were talking about the other day. We watch this Me TV, which has anybody who has seen that knows there's a lot of vintage shows like Leave It to Beaver, MASH, stuff like that. And even in MASH, there's positivity, and Leave It to Beaver is just pretty much all one thing of positivity. But why don't we have more shows rather than like Survivor and these competitions? Always competitions, and there's this I can't even remember some of these, where it's always people pitting each other. The shows are always pitting each other against each other, and that, yeah, mouthful. But why don't we have people like Leave It to Beaver except updated? Why don't we have the people that are making a difference in this world right now featured on TV? And maybe that's what my calling is to put out a channel that does that. But in the meantime, uh, why don't we have people that are really struggling, single parents, people dealing with cancer, people that are in real life? Real life makes the best content there is because real is real. And that's, another thing, which AI can do amazing things. But it also can put a lot of negativity in the world because it's not real. Like I've said before, real is never real. I mean, real is real, artificial is never real, like artificial flowers, artificial sweeteners, artificial intelligence. It's got to be not as good as the real thing. And but I'm not going to knock AI because there's a lot of positives you can do too. And but you know, have AI come up with a show. There's so many ways to be inspired. And I know I get this perplexity, which I love the app. I'm not have nothing to do with it, but it's awesome. If you haven't tried that out, that is my favorite app right now because I'm using it. Actually, I'm going to be using it a little bit. I'm going to be using it to cook this coffee cake, which I need to do some substitutions, and it always has some great substitutions for what I need. Um, it is awesome, and but going back to where is all the positivity? This is the best country that I believe that's ever existed. But we're being pitted against each other. And whoever it is president, whether it's Trump, Biden, whoever it's going to be in the future, it's always we're pitting each other against each other. And I am a proponent of getting rid of the parties. We don't need parties. We don't need to have Republicans and Democrats. We're Americans. Why aren't we just pulling together and making this country the best it could be? You know, I'm not going to rant on this because it's like, get over whether you're a Republican, conservative, liberal. You're an American. Get over it. Yeah, you'll have your ideals, but you know, in the long term, we're all Americans. We're all people trying to pull for the best of this country. I believe most of us, 99% of us. And but when we start pitting each other, it just is a downward spiral. And maybe we should have some things, talk shows. Maybe we should, maybe there's a side idea having a podcast where we talk with liberals and conservatives, and not call them that, call them Americans, but with their views as those previously mentioned. But I don't know. But I don't understand that, and we have so many. Oh my gosh, so many. I mean, CSI. How many years has that been on? I mean, yeah, it's good that with CSI. We need CSI Minden. It's just that's about as far as they've taken it. And Minden is my hometown. It's a town of a little over 3,000. But is there no new ideas out there? we've been watching on YouTube some of the older shows, and it's just like they actually had some great content, and actually, usually, even if they were kind of on the edge, still had people loving each other, caring for each other. And now we very rarely see that. There are so many things out there that are positives. People writing great books, and that's one thing where AI, which probably where because I am writing a book, um, AI probably will help me write a book because I don't know. We'll see. There's like I said, it's I'm mixed feelings of it. But why don't we have the league? Where are the Brady Bunches? Where are the Leave It to Beavers? Where are all these shows out there that that are waiting to be made? These people, like I've told people on this podcast, they don't think they have anything to offer, and it's like if you're finding me and I'm asking you, and everybody does, has something to offer the world. Your audience is waiting to hear your voice. Just like me when I said, I think on the previous podcast, people are waiting to hear you. You have a unique set of things that you've gone through in your life. People want to hear what you did when you went through that. Because I guarantee you, there are many, many, many people going through the exact same thing you are. And, when they hear how you did it, it gives them a little inspiration, a little bit of motivation, maybe a little bit of hope that they also can get through it. And when you don't put your voice out there, they're missing it. And that's why I love podcasting, because it gets my voice out to the world. And I've been looking at some other apps and software, whatever you call it, this Opus Clip, which I had never really been exposed to until recently. That is awesome for making clips. And they can put in subtitles in how many different languages. You can spread your voice around the world, your positivity, your motivation, your inspiration around the world. And yeah, the world is waiting. And do not think you have nothing to offer, because I get that a lot too. And I was there too. You have something to offer. And everybody's like, so what are we going to do this podcast about? When I ask somebody to be a guest on this podcast, it's like, you have something to offer. Everybody does. There's nobody out there that doesn't have something to offer. If nothing else, the experiences that you've gone through and what you're hoping and will do in the future. So, we need podcasts. I mean, there are more positive podcasts than I think there are television shows. But we have so much violence. And, the violence on TV and the language. And then, of course, they bleep them. But you know what they're saying. Get rid of it. Because where the kids and other people can watch it is not bleeped. And I guarantee you, it's not necessary. I'll do my occasional swearing. But in reality, I shouldn't. But it's negative. It takes your vibe down. The swear words, it takes your vibe down when you're watching the show. The stuff that seeing people killed and seeing the television news. When I was growing up, which is a lot of years ago, was definitely, and it's not censorship. It's being kind to people. You can tell them what's going on, but you don't need to visually show it to them, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's just like if somebody is seeing a murder, you ask them, they'll never unsee it. It changes them. And I think that's what our TV and maybe movies and media is doing to a lot of kids. I think that's why we have an epidemic, especially in the United States, of suicide. They have no hope. They think that is real life. What is it? Number 5 in the United States is for teenagers and under preteens is suicide. That's how they're dying. That is our future. And I know I've said that many times. But I believe if I was growing up today, I would think that there was no hope. This world's lost, But there's so much things out there that are positives, and whether you like Trump or not. I think what they're doing with the government, trying to figure out where our money's going, is a positive. Whether you like Trump or not, it's positive. We should have done this many, many years ago, figuring out how they were spending our money. They seem to want to know where our money's going and what they're going to get from it, but we just let it, blank check to them basically, and let them do what they may with it. And I think that's a very big positive. Well, and I feel sorry for these people in the government jobs that probably will lose their jobs. But change is painful. Change is good. And I'm sure I've been through a lot of pain in the last year and a half too. But it has made me who I am today. And it will make this country so much stronger. yeah, it won't be easy for the people going through it. But I pray that it'll make them stronger too. And maybe the job that they lose at the government will move them to doing a podcast, doing something positive, starting a business. I'm looking that way. There, of course, will be people that will not go that direction, but I pray that the majority do, and I hope they reach out to God because God's always there. God just put this actually into my head just a little bit ago because I wasn't planning on doing a podcast today, but he's like, you were thinking that, because there's nothing we watch on TV. If it wasn't for YouTube, I don't know if Cheryl and I'd watch much TV because we just go and find the stuff we want to watch. We never watch the news, maybe the local news a little bit, never national news, and we just watch the positive stuff. And there's, of course, game shows. I like The Price is Right a little bit. But my one grandma who was in a wheelchair, she had polio. Uh, I kind of always used to watch game shows on Friday afternoon. Our high school would let out at about 1 something, and I would always walk over there until the bus was going to take me home, which was like 3 something. So I would always go and have maybe some coffee or some kind of drink and some snack, and we watch game shows. And we did that pretty much every Friday. And I think that's why I like game shows. It brings back memories, great memories, positive memories of my grandma Larson. And yeah, it was very special. Times I'll never forget. But even game shows, overall are pretty positive. And these people are winning these prizes. I mean, maybe when they get to the taxes, maybe not so much. But I know there are people out there that have an idea that's positive that is not being probably brought to media, network media, especially because it's not. They don't think they have an audience, and I think they would be. I know they would be surprised how many people would resonate with positivity and positive content, showing people that are making a difference in this country. Even if, I don't care if you're gay, straight, whatever it is, they're people. People are people. And I have found out doing this podcast all over the world, people are people. It's been interesting from Spain to Tanzania to Portugal to you name it. And in the United States. I've done a lot of them here in Canada. People are people. They want pretty much the same thing. And they want to see hope. They want to have hope and know that things are getting better. And I think that if we had more content on regular TV that these kids that are by themselves or at daycare, if they watch TV daycare, um, don't don't do daycare. And Cheryl and I've never had kids because we weren't able to really. Maybe originally, but Cheryl had issues that made it so we couldn't. And we could have adopted, but these kids, like when she started out, she started working at daycare, and she couldn't take it because these kids were dropping off the parents were dropping off the kids, I should say. Even on the days where they didn't have to work, and it's like I always wondered why these parents had kids. This is your future, this is your family, and that's a negative. And then what you put out, you get back. You can get karma or dharma, and karma is not a good thing. Dharma is a good thing. So, but yeah, what you put out, you will eventually get back. That's just the way it works. And if you put good things out to the world, you will get it back eventually. And I never know how that's going to happen. But I try every day to make a positive difference in this world. I try to inspire. I try to motivate. Um, I try to help anybody that I can actually help, which is pretty much anything. Anyway, any way I can, because I think I offer something, but sometimes it's just a kind word. Sometimes it's just a smile. Had this lady at the library over in Grand Island, which is a town that's about an hour away, and just smiled at her. And I could tell I made her day just doing that. The smallest thing can make a positive difference in somebody's life. And you never know what the ripple. And everybody that's listening to this podcast know I'm a big fan of ripple. Um, Positivity brings positivity, negativity brings negativity. It is whatever way you want ripple to go. And that's why we need more positive things on television. Less news. NBC, get over the having news on all morning. It's like, go back to your format where you'd be better off having just about anything rather than having the news you have right now. How much news is enough? Evidently, it isn't enough because they think that they want to keep doing it. How long? How many hours does Today Show go on? And I'm not going to rant because that's negative. But there's so many things you could be putting out there, NBC, that would be better content. showcase people in your cities that you. And I do like CBS. They're doing these things with these shout outs or snippets, or whatever, people that are doing positive things around the country and putting those on. Big accolades to CBS. That's the way you do it. Um, and we don't get ABC. Our ABC station around here is kind of on the downward spiral. I don't know what's going on with them. But yeah, CBS, you have probably the most content we watch because it is probably more positive than anything else we see on network TV. Um, but but yeah, if you have an idea out there to start a positive podcast, a positive show, and that's the nice thing about today's world is you can start your own channel, your own network. Have it as a YouTube channel. I can tell you right now, it's very very it's easy. It's easy, because I've done it a while, but it is really not hard to do. And then YouTube is a win-win because after 1,000 subscribers, you share in revenue with them, and I know some people that are making pretty good money doing that, and trying to get the local museum to do that. So when it's slow in the winter, that they can have some revenue coming in because the museum would never run out of content for YouTube. But and this museum, which is Pioneer Village, it's called the Smithsonian on the Plains. I did a podcast with Daniel, who is kind of doing their social media, trying to get them to do a podcast and do all this and YouTube. They would never run out of content and talk about positive. There's so many things, and what's so many people that started this country that went through stuff that I had never ever experienced. And if you never get to Minden, Nebraska, it's only about 13 miles south of Interstate 80 when you go through Nebraska. And it's well worth the drive south to it. You can I know people that spend days there. And they're working on trying to get a new motel. They have a place a pretty good sized campground. But there is so much positivity there and so much amazing history. And that I want to do a shout out because it is a very positive place that's on the rise again. They've kind of were when they were opened in the 50s and kind of lost their way, but they're very much on. They're going now. They're onward and upward. So, but even that, a museum can be positive. And there's so many neat museums that are kind of thinking outside the box that are positive. And take your kids to like Pioneer Village or whatever your local museum is. There's a lot. And for one thing, you will build experiences of going to that together as a family, and you'll learn something, and your kids will be better. Well, you'll all be better for it. But we need more positivity in this country and probably the world. I think people in Italy where we were at were pretty positive. I'm sure that there's those people that were on the streets were not thinking that, but I loved, and anybody who's listened to this podcast knows that I love the vibe in Italy where we're at. But just think what you can do today to be a positive influence on this world. Do the ripple, and don't believe you have nothing to offer. It is it's something that we need to band together, and I think I need to work on my Facebook group and get my group started going again. I've got I think about 2,200 people of the Facebook group that are awesome, but I think I need to. I know I need to build that up and let's make a difference. And you can do that too. Facebook groups are very easy to start, or just start your own group. Let's make a difference together. And let's get the television. Let's just say this is not going to go anymore. The media, the music. Oh my gosh, the music was a little, it was hidden more when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. And now it's so blatant. It's just like my mouth comes open more times when I watch TV and when I listen to music. And nobody seems to care. And it's like, yeah, you're an adult most of the time, but these kids are taking it in and ruminating on it. And they think there is no hope. And we have to do something about this suicide rate for our children. Like I said, they're our future. And if we don't, if they think it's going to be negative, kids are supposed to have innocence. And I think we kind of lost that ideal that we need to have kids have innocence. You will grow up soon enough. And I am thankful that I did, have innocence. Still kind of do. I'm a big kid, and I've told you that many times too. But I still have that innocence and positivity that the world is great. It's going to be an awesome day today. We're coming up. Yesterday we were at 20. I ended up 22 below. And by Sunday, I think we're close to 60. So talk about positivity, unless you like really cool. But in my book, that's a big positive. But there's always things to be positive about. And write positive things. Write about people that are making a difference. If there's somebody in your community, at your work, at wherever it is, do something and say, you really inspire me. Um, I don't know, but I've gone on long enough on this podcast, and I thank you for joining me. But we need to get better content on our media. We need to get better content on the radio, on the TV. I guess those are all media, but in everywhere, better content. There are those Leave It to Beaver families, except in the 21st century, that are out there waiting to be discovered. There are those people that are on there, and I'm thankfully associated with a lot of them on Facebook and media, social media. But we all have that aspect, that ability to make a difference in the world. Bring out your positive side today and keep it going. Do the ripple yourself. Once you kind of it gets addictive, and you just want to help people. You want to hold the door. You want to take your cart back to the cart corral at the grocery store or at Walmart or wherever you're at, and you just want to do good things because good you got whatever the word is. Good gets good, and and it goes the other way too. So don't go that way. We all deserve better than that, and especially our children. So, on that, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast. Everybody have a very positive day, and we'll be talking soon. Bye.